Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. And this video was meant to come out in about April time, but life got in the way, other videos took priority, and this one never got recorded. So I'm really sorry for that. I also want to do something a little bit different. I normally shout out my patrons at the end of the video, so I would like to shout them out at the very start of this one. I just want to say a huge thank you to Lawrence, Chris, Louise, Gemma, Chelsea, Ben and Geraldine, who every single month support the channel and keep this channel going. You can become a free member of Patreon. You do not need to pay a penny. There will be a full link in my bio. I did think that because there had been so much time between writing this, the case actually happening, and recording this video, that something new would have happened in the case. But strangely, no new information has come out about this case. So you've definitely waited long enough for this one, so let's just get straight into it. This is the case of Jonathon Candy. So throw your mind back to April of this year. Did you see a particularly startling case on the news? Now, if you're in England, I don't think you saw it at all, because I was in Tenerife at the time that I found this out, and it was a news article that popped up onto my phone whilst I was there. There are large parts of America as well that probably also didn't hear about this story, but if you did see this case on the news or saw my short, then you may know what happened on April the 22nd in Oklahoma City. So I did look into this case back in April, and I thought that before I record this video, I will just have a little look, see if there's an update for anything of this case. But there has been no change whatsoever. So I would like to apologize for the limited information that I found, but I am going to tell you everything that I know about this case. But before we do that, we just need to find out who was Jonathon Candy. Jonathon Candy went to Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School and was married to Lindsay Terry Candy. Jonathon was a video engineer for Cox Media, and according to his LinkedIn account, had worked there since March 2011. Jonathon was described as being very funny, goofy, kind, and caring. So as I say, Jonathon was married to Lindsay. Well, he and Lindsay would go on and have 4 children together. And honestly, if you can make a picture-perfect family, it was Jonathon and Lindsay. They had 4 beautiful children, they lived in a lovely area, they had very well respectable jobs, and they just came across as a really lovely family. It's said that their family home was worth $380,000. So that just reinstates how well this family is doing. A family of 6 living in a lovely area with very good jobs, and their house is worth a lot of money. From the outside, nothing looked wrong with this family, or so it seemed. And the Facebook pages of Jonathon and Lindsay were both filled with family photos, happy memories, life events, family gatherings. It was all there, and it still is for everyone to see. If you just saw their Facebook pages and you saw them from afar, you might say that their home life looked quite ideal. But unfortunately, we now know it was not that at all. At the time of the crime, Jonathon was 42 and Lindsay was 39 years old. And unfortunately, when we look at the background of this case, that is it. That is all I can find. I'm sure in time there will be more information available about this crime and the background of those involved, but there are very vulnerable people involved in this case, and so I completely understand why it's very hard to find anything out right now. The last information that I can find is that the 4 boys are said to have been really lovely children. They all loved animals and they were all into various sports. There really did seem to be nothing wrong and nothing of concern, which makes the events that took place on April 22nd even more shocking and unexpected. There isn't a clear and concise understanding of the timeline on that day, but it was confirmed that Jonathon returned home from work, they all sat down as a family to dinner, and that evening Jonathon and Lindsay had an altercation. All the children were in their bedrooms ready to go to sleep, and that is when Jonathon pulled out a weapon and decided to shoot Lindsay. You may believe that he acted on impulse and that he had immediate regret about shooting his wife, but unfortunately, no, he did not, because he wouldn't just shoot her once. He would continue to fire until he was sure that she would not survive this attack. He then went round the home to hunt down 3 of his 4 children and fatally shoot them as well. The sole survivor was his youngest son, who was only 10 years old. And the motive for this? Well, no one knows. And unfortunately, there's a very strong possibility that no one ever will. And the reason why there's a very good chance that no one ever will is because after Jonathon decided to kill his 3rd son, he then took the weapon, turned it onto himself, and proceeded to unalive himself too. Why did Jonathon just decide to leave one of his children alive? Unfortunately, there are no answers, only speculation. And you may be wondering, well, how did the police find out about this? Well, unfortunately, the one child that survived woke up the next day, found every member of his family deceased, and then called the police. I honestly can't understand at all how he dealt with that situation. I've often sat and thought about this case, and just how a 10-year-old went to bed one night and then woke up the next day and his life completely changed. But not only that, he was the only person to survive this awful ordeal, but also had to find all of his family members and then phone the authorities whilst trying to understand what has happened. What an incredibly brave boy. Police found the bodies of Jonathon and Lindsay in their home on the Monday morning. According to detectives, all 5 bodies were scattered around the house. 2 of the family members were found upstairs and 2 of the family members were found on the ground floor. And at least one of the 3 children was found in their bed. Investigators believe that there was no way that the surviving child would have heard any of the gunshots because he had a box fan in his room that created a lot of noise. The police said it is also not clear whether the shooting was premeditated or spontaneous, and it was only when authorities were investigating the crime that a neighbour came forward and said that Jonathon had been struggling with depression. Police, even until this day that I'm recording this, have not revealed information on what weapon was used or where it was found. As expected, when the horrific news hit the headlines, an outpouring of love was given to the surrounding family. There was also, of course, a lot of love given to the surviving child and the children that lost their lives on that night. The boys that lost their lives that night were Dylan, who was 18 years old, Ethan, who was 14 years old, and Lucas, who was just 12 years old. There was also something else that I found that I will add in now. It's a small piece of footage from a show called Discover Oklahoma, and in this segment they're highlighting Baked Bakery and Deli. At the time it was rated the best deli in Yukon, which is located just 20 minutes outside of Oklahoma City. And to give their feedback on the deli, or who else was it but Jonathon and Lindsay. This footage was taken 2 years before the killings happened.
I come here twice a week in the morning just for their breakfast burritos, which are by far anything better than you can get around here. I love the carrot cake. I don't eat a lot of sweets, even with my last name, but I love the carrot cake.
I like the cannoli. The cannoli are good.
I can find the surviving child's name, but again, when things are very hard to find, there is often a reason for that. And as he is just 10 years old, I will respect the decision not to put his name in this case. He is, however, safe and he is being looked after by Lindsay's family. Lindsay's family say that they refuse to be defined by the tragedy that has happened, and they will care for each other and they will continue to move forward. They did mention that the weekend after this had happened, they decided to do nothing but shower the child with love. They did not want 1 second where he was on his own. Lindsay's family also now refuse to say Jonathon's name. An online fundraiser for the boy titled Help Lindsay Candy's Surviving Son even points to the family's dedication to erase the killer's memory. Our entire family has been left shattered and confused with so many questions we won't ever have the answers to. The next passage I will read is a statement given by the Candy family. Jonathon was the one whose jokes and goofy attitude kept everyone smiling. Aside from these events, his children and wife were his entire life. Police have absolutely no idea why this happened. They had never once before been called to the house, and there was no history of domestic abuse. Jonathon's cousin also made a statement which read, "Aside from these events, his children and wife were his entire life. I simply can't fathom what went on, but please hug your family tight. It's going to be a very long healing process for everyone affected." So that is the case of Jonathon Candy so far. I have absolutely no doubt that when more happens with this case, more information will come out. And should that happen, I will find all the information, compile it together, and then bring it to you. I am sorry it's not a more detailed case. I'm sorry there's not more information that I can give you about it. But I heard about this case in April. It absolutely shook me, and I knew I wanted to do a video on it. Why it's taken me so long to record, I don't know, especially because this video is a lot shorter than videos we normally do. And for that reason, this week you will be getting 2 videos from me. I really hope that the survivor of this crime can heal. I don't know what that looks like, and I have absolutely no understanding of how long that will take. And I personally don't think they ever will truly heal from this. But I just hope that every day, because they've been surrounded by love, and fortunately they didn't hear this all happen, they will slowly but surely be able to cope with this a little better. I also hope that the family that has been affected by this and lost so many loved ones somehow get closure. I hope that there is just something that starts to make sense, even though, as I've said in many videos before, there is never a justification for someone to do this to their wife and their children. But for now, that is all from me. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead. Please treat each other and yourself really well. And providing it doesn't hurt anyone else, always do the things that make you happy. But for now, that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.